very much top-grade circuit, whereas this circuit built in 1993 as a private members circuit. And it was only when Bernie Ecclestone met the then builder that they decided that they would bring Formula One here to sort of promote that it existed, because before that it didn't really. And so they had a historic race with lots of celebrity ex-racing drivers to launch the TI Aida circuit, and then almost a year later Michael Schumacher and the rest were here for the 1994 World Championship. Cars still in their garages, so not yet ready to start our session. It's only once they are in their 45-degree position that we are good to go. Just look like Maezawa Racing just a little bit delayed getting themselves out onto the apron. A reminder that we've got a couple of different classes in Japan Cup. So we've just seen the GT4 cars of Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia. They have two competitors this year. Murakami Motors Cayman and the Zenko RS Garage with Sunrise Boulevard Cayman. So 3 GT4 cars. There is the Zenko RS Garage Cayman, still in its garage. Doesn't have a driver in it either, so we must be a little bit early. GTC has the Bingo Racing car of Tiger Wu. And then in GT3 you have GT3 Pro-Am and GT3 Am. Here's Takashi Toyoda and Kazuki Ota in the car guy number 66. Championship-wise, it is the Cornez Racing Ferrari that leads with a 12-point advantage over the 777. Sorry, the 7-7 Racing, the 666 numbered car. There's 888, as I mentioned, Tiger Wu, with that very cool livery. So it's a 296 that leads our championship, as I said. And Banksy in second position. Banksy's had a couple of different teammates in the 7-7 Racing Porsche. He's back with Taichi Watare, who he took victory with in Fuji Race 1. And then Bingo Racing with LM Corsa is third with Sasahara and Takai in another Ferrari. Basically, majority Ferraris in Japan Cup. We do have, how many Nissans today? We've got 2 Nissans. And we have the K-Tunes Lexus also. So it's nice to see some slightly different brands out there. Now, we did earlier on in the season have a 488, but I don't think we have an older Ferrari now. Yes, we do. Car Guy Racing, sorry. That is still the 488. There's the K-Tunes 98s of our championship winners last year in Japan Cup, Yamawaki and Takagi. But they really haven't had a particularly strong year, scoring no points in Fuji whatsoever. So they're down in 12th position, would you believe? K-Tunes Racing also running this Lexus. Suenaga and Fukuzumi aboard that car. And actually that car with more points than the Ferrari. So that car was always the slower of the two last year. when the Ferrari was absolutely dominant. But this year, the Lexus sits 7th in the championship. It was Bingo Racing with LM Corsa who won Sugo Race 1. Max Racing in their Mercedes won Race 2. Then 77 Racing with their Porsche won Race 1 in Fuji. And Corners Racing took the victory in Race 2 there. So 4 different winners across the 4 races we've had so far. And we move into the second half of the season. Now, Yokomiso in the Maezawa Ferrari. Let's not forget that, first of all, it was this time last year that Maezawa made his debut in GT World Challenge Asia, I want to say, rather than in Japan Cup. May have got that confused. And Yokomizo is a 2-time winner in GT World Challenge Asia here in Ferraris. So this was the championship ending round for GT World Challenge Asia last year. And no, it was Japan Cup, where Banksy took the victory when making their debut. So that means Maezawa must have made his debut the year before. Or maybe I'm getting confused. Either way, qualifying should be soon starting. There is Mr. Maezawa. He will be in the car first. If you are new to the regulations, we have 2 qualifying sessions, the first of which we have the amateur drivers in those AM lineups in the cars. If you're an all AM lineup, you can choose which AM to put into the car. And then in the second session, we will have the pro drivers in the cars. This sets the grid for race 1. The second qualifying session sets the grid for race 2. .30 degrees out in the air, 45 on track. And we do have a small queue at the end of pit lane. When were we supposed to start this qualifying session? We were supposed to start at 47. No, at 55. Sorry, so we are on time. And we will get going once the clock hits the minute. So as we saw in qualifying 1, it does take a little bit of time to get everything up to speed. So first 1 or 2 laps will be there just to scrub that release agent off the tyre, where the tyre is inside the mould. There's a release agent to allow the rubber to unstick from the mould. This tends to be what makes the tyre shiny, and so because it's a slippery substance, that needs to be scrubbed off the tyre before the tyre starts to work properly. And then, of course, you've got to get the temperature up into the tyre, and you've got to get temperature into the brakes as well. Not too hard around a Nadgery circuit like this. Just waiting a little bit of time, creating a little bit of space. Bingo Racing LM Corsa coming out onto the circuit now. And nice little strategy there, because a decent couple of, well, decent kilometres worth of distance between the number 9 and the cars around him. Meanwhile, first car to set a lap time will be the Ponos Racing of Yorikatsu Suzuki. Nice truck that they have down at the end of pit lane, right beside us. It's good to see the trucks. Of course, GT World Challenge Asia is predominantly based in flight containers, or shipping containers actually, not flight containers. And so you don't get a chance to see the sexy trucks, but those Japanese-based teams are able to drive their cars here to Okayama. And then for Japan Cup, it'll be a quick turnaround to get to Suzuka for their next round, because that's a 2 weeks' time where they will round out the championship. See Shujiko not really on the racing line at the moment, staying away from the curbs. When the tyres are at low pressure and not at full racing spec, let's say, you can do some real damage if you ride the curbs. So Shujiko following the rules, staying off the curbs, not putting too much energy through them, but he will want to start to push, otherwise he won't create the temperature that he needs. They were 4th in last year's championship, were Shujiko, and are sitting in 6th right now with 2 second positions. Shares that car with Kei Cozzolino. And let's go on board with Mr. Maezawa. Nice and late on the brakes from Maezawa there. This looks like a really nice lap so far, but he's now into the really complex bits, gets that left-hand apex hooked up nicely. And early on the throttle. I want to say, there's confidence inside this 555 car right now. But there's also traffic just ahead. There, you suddenly hear how he's not quite as aggressive on the throttle, and he's not able to drive out the corner as he wants. Over the line. Shujiko on the provisional pole. Maezawa to the line, though. Surely this is going to be a better lap time, unless he was really held up at the end of the lap. No, 2.7 seconds to the good. Shibata behind him, up into 2nd position in the 181 new car to us. Norik Racing. And so Maezawa on the pole. Shibata 2nd. Tiger Wu at the moment up in 3rd position, but that's just because he's got his tyres up to temperature better in that Cup car. A reminder, GTC, in which Tiger Wu is for Cup cars, Porsche Cup cars, of which, of course, there are many. Porsche Carrera Cup Japan, a popular series where many of these drivers will start their careers, and then they will move out of that into Japan Cup and then into GT World Challenge. Here's a number 9 of Takai. Possibly will sneak up on the pole position here. In touch in those first 2 sectors. 2nd position though, nobody so far can get anywhere near Yusaku Maezawa on the provisional pole. Not anymore though. Suzuki has taken it for the 296 Corners Racing Ferrari. Our championship leaders now onto the provisional pole. Now here's Uematsu. Fan favourites Uematsu and Suzuki. Raced the McLaren last year, but in that 296 Ferrari this year. And they are at the moment pole in Am. Got to say that Tiger Woo's done a really good job. I suppose on a smaller circuit like this, the GT3 cars don't have much of an advantage over the Porsche Cup cars. And so that's how Tiger Woo is able to be at the moment in 5th position. Sujiko in the 45. In the final couple of corners here. He's got a good chunk of time over Suzuki. So this could be back a provisional pole to the 45. Takai did get on the pole, but has been usurped already by Sujiko, and now Suzuki improves his lap time up to 2nd spot. Maezawa now up to 2nd, so lots of improvements over the line on those last attempts. These AM drivers just building up to it, little by little. Toyota leading in GT4, just coming through shot. A little bit too wide there from our team Up Garage ACR machine. Now, Akita in 6th position with the GT4 car ahead. That is not going to help him. And he goes to the outside line. That was not wise. With Maezawa exploring the very limits of his braking there. Sounds like a bit of gravel down in the 2nd part of the lap. You can hear it rattling around on the underside of the car, almost like he's a rally driver on a rally stage. So again, better sectors from Maezawa. Over the line he comes. He's being towed around by 296 Suzuki. So those two setting almost identical lap times on the last time. Suzuki is actually behind Maezawa time-wise, even though he's ahead on the road. Uematsu, this is a much better run. At the moment down in 5th position, but if he's able to continue with this, and there's no reason why not, with a clear track ahead of him, we might get Tadeo Uematsu on a provisional pole here. Here he comes towards the line. Team Machina, named after the McLaren they were running last year, comes towards the line. 2nd position by 0.3 of a second. So Sujiko, sorry, on the pole. 29.8 is the target lap time now as Takai comes towards the end of the lap. Towards the line. Could get a pole position as well. It's obviously a very strong final sector from the number 45 Ponars racing car. And at the moment, nobody's able to touch him. Sujiko is actually in the pits. He just pulled into the pits. So with 3.5 minutes remaining, doesn't feel like he can improve. Here is Banksy. Not seen so much of the Porsche. We ride on board through the 2nd half of this fiddly infield section. great final sector from Banksy, gets himself up onto the pole position. A monster final sector in the Porsche. And look at that, 0.4 of a second faster as Shishiko goes into the pits. Here's Akita now, also with a purple middle sector. How strong has his final sector been? Team Up Garage really strong in the first weekend in Sugo. Towards the line, and it's on the front row for Akita. Bumps the 45 Ponos car down to the second row, where for the moment he will share that with Uematsu. Haven't seen much of the Max Racing Mercedes. Uchida for the moment down in 8th position, but it is a purple first sector. Blue flags waving for Banksy, who's got that provisional pole, but no reason for Uchida to get out of the way here because he's got green sectors for both of his 2 attempts so far. That's his best sector. Green means it's his best sector. Purple would be best sector over everybody else. So it's going to be an improvement for Uchida in the Mercedes. 8th at the moment, but 1.7 back. So a big gap between himself and the next crop of cars. And over the line he goes to stay in 8th position. But Uchida does improve the time, finds half a second. Here's Shibata. Katsu. It's going to be no improvement from him either. Yes, it is. Slight improvement. Up 1 position to 8th spot. And it is just no news from Keiichi. So strong last year. And this year, they are just nowhere. Yamawaki in 10th position. Purple, green, so should be better. But 2 seconds back from Banksy's pole position right now. 1 minute remaining. Still plenty of green sectors on the timing screens. Suzuki might even be improving from that 6th position. Yamawaki comes over the line and just improves the 1 spot up to 10th position. Here's Uchida. Now, green for him. But look, more significantly, 1.2 back from Banksy, but was only half a second back in that 2nd sector. So this should move the Mercedes up further. Just kicking up the dust as he accelerates with a nice straight steering wheel towards the line. And Uchida goes up into 6th. Banksy got himself a purple sector in the final sector of that last attempt, but he was held up in the first couple of sectors, and so it was not an improvement. Otter down in 11th position as Uchida moves up into 6th. No, that was the checkered flag is now flying, so last attempt for anybody to try and usurp Banksy. Made their debut here in Okayama in Japan Cup this time last year and took victory in race 1. Otter comes across the line. It will be an improvement on his lap time up to 9th, but does not challenge Banksy, and there is no one really on the track that can now. Banksy's still out there, remember, and he's got a green first sector. And he's got a purple middle sector. Banksy's going for a better run here. 29.4 is the pole time. Nobody's challenging him. Doesn't need to take the energy out of the tyres, but why not? Oh, the commitment through there, the grip that he had through that penultimate turn, hardly needing to back out of it. And Banksy to the line. And absolutely solidifies his pole position. 5.5 tenths faster than anybody else in that session. I said that Porsche had never won here in GT World Challenge Asia. Well, they have won here in Japan Cup before, and they are absolutely on course to doing it again, because that was exceptional. and on the last lap as well. With grip still in those tyres, with time still to be found, Banksy was able to do it. And he didn't even need to. And he hands his car over to his teammate from Fuji. He ran with Kyoto Fujinami in Sugo. But it's Taichi Watanabe who will be in the car in the pro session. Who else got pole? So Uematsu once again on the GT3 AM pole position. Tiger Wu on the Cup pole position, and Haridama Manopo in the Toyota in the GT4 pole position, and 4.5 tenths separating the Toyota from the two Porsches behind. Usually that's incredibly tight, the GT4 battle. What it will mean for this Japan Cup race is a decent amount of traffic, because it won't be easy around here to overtake. There is no doubt about that. And those GT4 cars will be not getting in the way, because that sounds like they're inconvenience, and they are very much a welcome. Of course, SRO also running the SRO GT Cup, which is for GT4 cars in China. Supported the Formula 1 Grand Prix at the start of the year in Shanghai. Will finish its year in Macau, and will be a support race to our Beijing street race that we have in GT World Challenge Asia. So, one of the last cars to come into the pits, but thumbs up from Banksy, because he's done a stunning job there. Mechanics hard at work turning the car around for the next session, but a good pat on the back. I can hear Amy down there, waiting to get their helmet off so we can have a quick word with Banksy. Love to know why they are 7-7 racing, for one. What's the reason behind that? And number two, why do they then choose 666 as their car number? Surely you'd choose 7. I don't get it. But anyway. So while we wait for our second qualifying session with the pro drivers to get going, Panos Racing getting themselves to the front of the queue. Maezawa with Yokomiso in second in the queue. I think Amy is getting herself lined up for interview. Yes, she is. Great. Let's go down then and hear from Banksy, our pole position driver for race 1.
バンクシー選手、もうねチームからもあったと思うんですけど、ぶっちぎりでした。おめでとうございます。
ちょっとタイヤのピーク過ぎて最後アタック5ぐらいだったんで、もうダメかなと思ってたんですけど、ポルシェがやっぱ岡山とか茂木とかは特性が合ってるんで、BOP は良くないんですけど、アジアの方もねポルだったんで、特性を引き出せてよかったな。
ちなみにですね、セブンじゃないですか。番号666、このなんでしょう、意味合いというのは何でしょうか。
昔からなんかヨーロッパのデビルナンバーみたいな。でロードカー乗ってる時からずっと666で、なんか若かりし頃からこのナンバー、それを引き継いでる感じです。はい。
では昨シーズンもねポルトウィンを達成してますので、ぜひそれを期待して、はい、午後も頑張ってください。
頑張ります。ありがとうございました。
おめでとうございます。So to all our international fans, let me translate this. First of all, I asked why is the team name 77 and the card number is 666. He said that apparently 666 is like a devil number in Europe, so he wanted to jinx that, so that's why they chose 666 this season. Also, he feels like the Porsche is doing well on this track, and being surrounded by Ferraris, it's a pleasure that he got this pole position. Also, he thought that he wouldn't nail the last lap because the tires were already worn out a little bit, but he's very, very happy about the lap he just did on the very last stint. Back to you.
Well, not a surprise, because it was a lovely lap. So he's chosen that number as it's the devil's number. It is the devil's number. Don't know why it's the devil's number, but still think that's a bit of a strange choice, if that is the reason. So, Team Achina having the GT3 AM fastest lap, getting the provisional pole for Q1. GT3 Pro-Am going to 7-7 Racing. GT4 pole position to the Toyota, and Tiger Wu with the Porsche Cup pole position in 13th position in the end. So he did get bumped back to the tail end of the GT3 field, but you can see just how good Uematsu is. Up there in 5th position, surrounded by lots of Pro-Am entry. Of course, they were all AM drivers, so that makes sense. So in Chinese, and of course Japan Cup, they won't be looking at Chinese, but in Chinese, 666 means cool or awesome. But it's actually not a devil's number. I thought 666 was a devil's number, but apparently it's an angel's number. It's a symbol for balance and harmony and self-care in life. So that is the motivation for having 666 on 7-7 car. Well, it's bring them good luck anyway, isn't it? Because that's another pole position, and in that battle for the championship, which we are not going to establish a champion here in Okayama, because they're going back to Sugo afterwards, it has given Banksy the upper hand, just that slight amount. Quite a few cars still in pit lane at the start of this Q2 session, saving tyres. Yokomizo taking advantage of a quiet circuit, and he is still weaving around to get some temperature into the tyres. And then number 9 then will be Ukyo Sasahara. The 96 will have Fukuzumi, Niri Fukuzumi, aboard the K-Tunes car. Now, I thought we had a new driver in my entry list, but having now looked at my spotter's guide, I can't actually find the name. Right, let's go on board with Yokomizo in the 555 car. Absolutely showing us how it's done. can see how much the pro driver muscles these cars around versus the AMs that are sort of careful with them. Yokomizu absolutely taking the Ferrari by the horns and up by 1.7 seconds on the pole time set by Kei Cozzolino at the moment. And unlike the GT World Challenge guys, a lot of these guys will know this circuit well. They have experience both in Japan Cup, GT World Challenge, and also in the other national series here. Yokomizu going second, so losing time by losing about half a second to Cozzolino in that final sector. I didn't see it. I didn't see where the time was lost, but in the end, finishing 0.25 off Cozzolino. Here's Tiger Wu now, so obviously single driver entry. He's the only driver now as a single driver, and he has to do both stints. It's going to be such hard work for him today here in Okayama because it is so warm. What's the temperature now? 30 degrees. It's actually not close to where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a lot warmer. Here's Cozzolino. Got the space around him. Got the 7.7 Porsche just ahead, but won't be able to catch him. And it does seem at the moment, at this early part of Q2, that it is a battle between Cozzolino and Yokomizu. Minus 2.3 seconds is Cozzolino on the pole time. Comes towards the line. This is going to be surely snatch an improvement on his previous pole time. A 28.0 goes to Cozzolino. What about Yokomizu behind? 28.22 for Yokomizu, so another 0.2 back. Exactly the same as we saw the gap on the first attempts by the two of them. And they are an absolute, at the moment, class the field over everybody else, because there's nobody who really has even attempted a lap time yet. Sasahara out there on an out lap, Kobayashi as well for Kazumi, Otojima. But with Tiger Wu up there in third position, it's a signal that our pro drivers, those are the cars with black backgrounds and white numbers that you can see on your graphics, all of those will be improving. Lots of green sectors, lots of improving. Tekubamba up to 9th position. Watarai in the 666 there, up into 3rd spot. But still 1.1 seconds back from Cozzolino. Small improvement from Yokomizu on that last lap. Just 1/10 of a second between the two of them at the head of the field. That's a big brute, isn't it, to muscle around this circuit, the Nissan GTR of run-up. Tanaka 2 seconds back in the middle sector. Should still be an improvement. Goes up into 5th position. And actually, Oyagi in the 81, which is very, very strong in Fuji, if you remember. He's up to 4th position now. And I'm trying to remember, actually, did that car, yeah, Ruichiro Oyagi was driving on his own in Fuji. But here we'll once again share with, I think it's his brother, Ruichiro. Sorry, he is Ruichiro. Nobuyuki is his brother, who he will share the car with. As I seem to remember, they did in Sugo. Maybe not. Maybe they were on their. Maybe they were on their own. Purple sector from Fukuzumi in the Lexus in the first sector of the lap. As we watch Fujiwara in the Porsche. Silver Am category Porsche, that. And in terms of the championship, it is just the Porsche versus the Toyota. Here is Fukuzumi in that Lexus. I think I'm right in saying recent winners of a WEC round is the Lexus in GT3 spec, although slightly different. Well, they do have a different balance of performance in the World Endurance Championship to the SRO Championship. Not really see great performance from the Lexus in any other GT World Challenge Championship. But Fukuzumi up to third spot there with that lap. Takagi in the 98 Ferrari up to fifth. And that was a improvement from Watarai into fourth position in the Porsche. Yokomizo has tried enough. 3.5 minutes remaining. He was the first out onto circuit in the Maezawa Racing Ferrari, and he brings that car in now. See him down from my window. I don't think he's going anywhere. So Cozzolino stays at the head of the field. Takagi now has got himself up into third, so that's a better run from the 98 K-Tunes Ferrari. Oh, we've got a car off, yellow flag there, and that is the 360 run-up Nissan, I believe. It's funny, it doesn't say anything about green flags on any of our graphics, but clearly a yellow flag to cover that car, which means nobody can improve, and we go red flag straight away on our graphics. So it's pretty well beached in the gravel. It'll be quick to snatch, but with 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, there is enough time for drivers to go out and put a lap in, but they might not really fancy it because there won't be that much grip left in the tyres. And race control won't say session will not resume, as we have a replay as to what happened to the Nissan, just pushing too hard, and the rear right said no thank you. Yeah, race control will not say session will not resume unless there is less than 2 laps time-wise left. But if you are fast out the pits with 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, you can get round and you can start a lap, and you will then be able to finish that lap. So we will count those last 3 minutes and 13 seconds back. Apart from Tanaka, who will not, because actually I was about to say because he's helped out the gravel, he won't be allowed to restart, but I've got a funny feeling that that is not the regulation in this championship. Cozzolino jumping out of the Ponos Racing Ferrari with the 1 second, 0.1 second advantage over Yokomizo. Walks directly towards the stewards to go and get himself weighed. They'll combine the weight of him with the weight of the car to make sure they are within the regulation limit. We've still not got all cars back into pit lane yet, and so they can't really do anything about clearing this car until the last GT3 car has passed. Now, it has just passed. And so, in theory, the marshals can get that little Kubota tractor to the front of that Nissan, put it back onto this track and bring it around so we can get the rest of the session over. But I don't think Kei Cozzolino will be going out, and neither will Yoko Miso, both with their helmets off. Does look as though Watawara is staying aboard the 666. Cozzolino of Italian fatherhood, Japanese motherhood, and actually born and raised here in Japan. Definitely the rock star of the Japan Cup paddock. It does seem like there's quite a few cars with drivers out of them. Fast lane is now open, race controller saying, so I can see the 24 is moving. So that's Max Racing. And they are trying to get themselves down to the front of the field. But a few others have done the same thing, and therefore they have missed out on the pole position because, now race control have added some time, by the looks of things, to our clock as well. So 5 minutes on the clock, that gives them plenty of time. Blimey, that's very kind of race control, because the clock stopped at about 3:13, which would have been enough time to get round, but maybe those further back may have not got round, so race control trying to make it fair for everybody. We do have a single-seater series supporting us, as well as, of course, GT World Challenge, but I think the track is available. Restart for 5 minutes at 10:34 local time, which is in 30 seconds time. Will it be a nervous wait for Cozzolino down there in the paddock? I wonder if Takagi is going back out in the 98 K-Tunes Ferrari. They sit third. Fukuzumi in the Lexus K-Tunes is fourth. And then 77 Racing Porsche is in fifth position. Kawabata for Cornez Racing Ferrari only in sixth, and then Tekubamba in seventh, with Suzuki number one in eighth spot. For the moment, very few cars back out on circuit. We've got the 296 of Kawabata, Watawara in the 666 is out there, Kobayashi in the 18, who's down in 11th position. That's Team Up Garage. Motojima, who needs to improve, actually, to be fair. Motojima in the Max Racing Mercedes is 7.5 seconds back. He's 15th. He's behind a GT4 car there. Takagi does go back out onto circuit as well, as does Fukuzumi. Sasahara in the number 9 is for Bingo Racing LM Corsa, behind 2 GT4 cars. So need to find the number 9 car. I'm looking at to see if he's had any times disallowed, which he hasn't. But the third car to the start line very, very, very much needs a lap. This 296, 6th position, behind the 666, 5th position, but that's sort of what you would expect from them. You certainly would not expect Sasahara to be down in 17th spot. A few more cars coming out, well, no, just the K-Tunes cars coming out a little bit later. So running clock on Kawabata, who's 0.2 of a second down in the first sector. Now, I don't think they're going to get the car up to temperature on this lap. So it's going to be the next lap that's going to be the important one. But even then, Sasahara and Motojima and Kobayashi with green sectors Our two faster cars here, Wataara and Kawabata, not faster than their previous bests, but there are a few cars out there that are. So no improvement from Kawabata for short, 2 seconds back. Wataara 0.6 of a second back, so could be a bit of improvement, could be a little bit of an improvement, but 2 green sectors for Sasahara. Oh wow, and actually more than that, look at how close those sectors are to Cozzolino and Yokomizo's time. We could see a new pole man here at the end of the session. This is Sasahara's first effort as well. He is that car at the back of shot. And over the line, he does get pole position. Wow, Sasahara from nowhere. Motojima over the line and up to 8th position. Here comes Kobayashi. That's only 10th position. But I reckon Sasahara has more punch in his car. I reckon he's got more time in there. Was it an error from Cozzolino and Yokomizo to stay in the pits? They can't defend. Kawabata now with a green sector in sector 1. What about that second sector though? What's happening in this big long middle sector? So sinuous. Looks okay. A nice little bump to set you up into turn 7. Middle sector. Oh, this is on Corso, isn't it, for Kawabata? It's a slower middle sector than he's managed before, but we could see a bit of an upset here. Cozzolino and Yokomizo could be bumped down even further. Not going to happen for Motojima. Fukuzumi's got a purple sector in sector 1. Sasahara's got purple in sector 2, but let's watch Kawabata first. With 20 seconds remaining, he can still go again for a 3rd attempt, up to 5th position. Motojima around the final turn, towards the line. He goes stays in 8th as Fukuzumi has lost 2/10 in that middle sector to Sasahara, who completed his lap time and did improve just a fraction to put himself a 1/10 of a second ahead of Cozzolino. Checker flag is out, so it will not be the last attempt from Fukuzumi. Round the final turn he goes, 6th position, 4.5 back from Sasahara. Will it be an improvement? Yes, it will, but only to 5th position. Green sectors for Sasahara, for Kobayashi, for Wataara, and for Motojima on their last laps. Very good first sector for Wataara, and only 2.5 in the middle sector. That puts him in 4th position for the moment. The same applies to Sasahara. It's basically a no improvement from Sasahara from the pole. Wonder what he was doing for the first half of the session. Where was he? To the line then comes the 666. In 8th position right now. It's a slower middle sector, but what about that final sector? How much time has he found? Just a little bit. In 7th position. Can Kobayashi find a little bit more? He's in 8th right now. And no, he stays in 8th spot. So that's flags for everybody, I think, and that is your grid set, because the Lexus was the first to take the checker flag. So this is his run into the pit lane. Didn't see the number 9 at all in the first part of that session. Bingo racing it with LM Corsa, leaving it late. But after the red flag, with 5 minutes remaining, given the time by race control to set the time, and Uko Sasahara has the pole position. I heard a story that his parents were big fans of Formula 1 and of Okayama, the Tyrrell Formula 1 driver, back when Ukyo was born. So that is why he is called Tokyo Sasahara, because his family liked Okayama so much that he got named after him. Just happens to be as fast as well, if not faster, maybe. Happy days in bingo racing then. A pole position with the best of our GT3 Pro-Am cars, the number 9. Number 1, Team Machina getting their AM pole again, as does the Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia in GT4, also with the pole, and Tiger Wu as well. Gap was another 0.7 of a second between Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia and Zenko RS Garage. But it was Bingo Racing on the pole, 1/10 of a second ahead of Ponos Racing in their Ferrari, and then another 1/10 of a second ahead of Maezawa, with Takagi another 10th back, and Fukuzumi very, very close in the Lexus in 5th position. Look how tight it was at the top. The top 6 separated by just over 0.3 of a second. It's going to be fascinating Japan Cup racing action. Join us at 4 o'clock for race 1 here in Okayama.